The offense sputtered, and the linebacker room was gutted. And yet somehow the Oklahoma Sooners enter 2026 probably in better shape than they were a year ago. Jim Nagy didn't sit on his hands. Brent Venables doubled down on development. They attacked key positions in the transfer portal and retained impact players like Kip Lewis and Isaiah Sategna, while also replenishing their coaching staff after NFL poaching. The question isn't whether OU improved, it's whether they improved enough to compete in the SEC right now. Let's talk about it. Welcome back to Sooner Intel. I'm your host, Jason Watkins, along with my co-hosts, Kchris Griffin from the Horns Down podcast, and Mr. Mason, Chris Mason from Sooners 360. You love Sooner football. You know you're in the right place. So before you forget, smash that red subscriber button, like our videos, and don't forget to ring the bell. I don't know if you guys got any of that at all. Something just went haywire there. Welcome back to Sooner Intel. I'm your host, Jason Watkins, along with my co-hosts, Kchris Griffin from the Horns Down podcast, and Mr. Mason, Chris Mason from Sooners 360. If you love college football, you know you're in the right place, so smash the red subscriber button on all three channels, like the videos, and don't forget to ring the bell so you don't miss a moment of Sooner Intel. Gentlemen, welcome in. You been over watching some good hoop over there? Hey, Chris?
Yeah, something like that. Just really got home, so. Yeah.
Well, it's now 30.
Late for a good reason, though. That's a good reason.
It's now 30-0. The softball team has crossed the 30. I mean, did the baseball team do 34?
And who are they playing?
I think they hit 34 when they're playing Coppin State. Was that right?
Oh, okay.
I don't know who they're playing this weekend, but yeah, it's
an ass whipping.
Spring.
It's an ass whipping.
If we put the men into a parking lot by themselves, spring sports is kind of going out. Is having a hot couple of weeks.
Oh yeah. Have they even lost a game? Has anybody lost yet?
The softball dropped a game at the Mary Nutter thing, and baseball got bombed by Arizona State on Monday. Then they rallied back and came back. But yeah, I mean the spring softball, baseball look hot, and women's hoops looks hot, and I think even like tennis and golf are doing well. So it's just men. It's just the men's hoop team, which we will not talk about on this.
Yeah, we're not going to talk about that shit. Does the win tonight, though, for women's basketball, does that get to the number 2 seed, Kchris?
I don't know. I don't
Somebody
think so.
tell me in there, because I know that South Carolina for sure locked up the number 1 seed last night. But it feels like
you saying the 2 seed in the tournament?
For the
conference tournament.
Yeah.
Let me check. Keep going though.
Yeah, that was the question I had basically. I knew that South Carolina, they're going to go in as the number 1 seed into the conference tournament.
Yeah, looks like OU is 5th. With
I was going to say I don't think so. Yeah, because
Vandy and the Longhorns are tied with 3 losses, and LSU has 4 losses. So, but it's a huge gap after that.
I was going to say they're right. Okay, so all right, 5th, but wow, okay.
Yeah, but we're talking about the number 3 team in the nation, the number 5 team in the nation, the number 4 team in the nation. 6 and 7. So it's
right, and like winners of 2 of the last 4 or something like that, national championships.
Yeah, I mean, it's basically, I think UConn and UCLA are the only other teams in the mix. Do I have that right? I know UConn is. I thought UCLA was also there, but let me check.
Okay.
Big Ten's.
Okay.
Yeah, the Bruins, who
oh yeah, they're nice too. They're nice.
Yeah, they're undefeated. So yeah, it's UConn, UCLA, and then the SEC, and then Michigan and Iowa. So it's Jenny's squad's playing great, but the SEC, it's just a gauntlet.
Well, and I mean, yeah, I think number 4 seed in the NCAA bracket right now.
Yeah,
where you host a regional.
Yep.
Yeah. So yeah, I think it's obviously a good way to start off the spring. You got the women rolling into the tournament. And then obviously, the women's softball program. I mean, this is a young program, a young team that's getting after it. But let's get into talking about what we decided we were going to get into tonight. Obviously, got a few things that that we could be bringing up, but I think one of the biggest things coming into the season, we kind of need to grade what kind of an off season this has been for Oklahoma. You had some defections as far as you had portal, you had guys going to the league. You've got 10 guys and we need to talk about that too. 10 guys that are at the NFL Combine. Shout out to G Baby for just killing it today. What a great day for him. I just think for everything that's happened though, you ended up losing multiple coaches to the NFL, but you may have gotten a net positive. I think we talked about that over the last couple of weeks. And then, I think as much as you feel like they kind of gutted that linebacker room, but then you kind of look at what they have coming in and obviously Kip Lewis coming back, being the heart and soul of the defense. I don't know that you're really in a worse position there either. I mean, Kchris, what are you feeling about that? Let's start with the linebacker room there, and then let's get into. I guess we could get into the draft combine too, because there's a lot to talk about with that.
Just betting on ourselves, honestly. I mean, I think that's kind of where you're starting, because obviously sorry, Jason, I know you asked me a question, but Chris Mason, are we done with the Heinicke thing, or is it time to move on from that, or are we still?
That's why I left that alone. I left it alone.
Yeah, he's at the combine. He ran a 4.62 today. He's done. He's moving on. He's not gonna fight this.
Yeah. So all right. Mm-hmm. Well, there you go. So I mean, the question is honestly, who's the 4th guy? Because I think right now you're looking at obviously Kip Lewis. You're looking at James Nesta. You're looking at Cole Sullivan. Is it a Marcus James? You go to athletic with a really athletic guy that could be useful like that. Is it Heim, or are you still really bully on him playing cheetah? I mean, it's really just about the development. I mean, that's what I'm really eager to see in that room. But as far as I'm concerned, I think we will be fine, because this time last year, I had one of my friends at work, Brandon. He hit me up a couple of times and was like, man, I'm really worried about linebacker depth. And I was like, I'm not, because I felt pretty good about what we had in Kobe McKenzie, Kip Lewis, Sammy O. Little did I know Owen Heinicke was about to put everybody on notice. And I mean, that's exactly what he did. And that is a true compliment to the staff, to the coaches, for what they've been able to do. Wes Godwin and obviously Nate Dreiling, they have been a heaven sent for Venables, because Venables is not necessarily having to be as hands-on as I think he would have been in the past with those two. So I think you kind of trust the development there to get us ready. But I'm excited about the room. I think this room could be pretty talented. It could be one of the underrated rooms going into the season.
Right. And I was going to ask real quick too. I was going to ask you, Mr. Mason, because I actually been hearing stuff about our guy, Kristen Moore, they said he's been killing it in the offseason workout program. He seems to be picking everything up really well. I mean, you've got Cole Sullivan coming in, who everybody expects an awful lot from. That, again, we talked about Nesta, Heim as well. But it sounds like you may have a guy as a true freshman who may be looking to get some playing time as well. Even, even as underrated as he was coming in to the year.
Yeah, and also, I mean, the buzz on Jacob Curry, the linebacker from Miami, is significant as well. He's tested like a madman. If he can put on a little weight and get himself into the 225 territory, I think he could be a contributor. Again, if Bojandro can just stay healthy, I think
There's
can
another
also.
One, right? There's another freshman.
So I think you're seeing a bigger freshman class than OU's signed in a while. They've been some small linebacker classes. So I think those guys are all going to get a chance this spring to get some playing time. Again, Taylor Heim is an interesting. What does OU do there?
Right.
In terms of that, but yeah, I mean, I think Cole Sullivan sort of allowed OU to absorb some of these hits, right? That you're going to go with Kip and Cole Sullivan, and they think his potential is
through the roof, right?
Like stuff.
Well, and the next thing I was going to ask too is because of the fact that we know that the NCAA and its infinite wisdom, turned down the request by Owen Heineke. Obviously he was looking at an appeal. They turned it down. But it almost feels like they're not pushing and going to court, not just because of we know that he's doing very well in the combine and everything else, but it almost feels like you almost wonder if it's not they're worried that they might stunt the growth of some of these young guys they got coming in. And maybe there's not enough playing time to go around.
Yeah, I think that's part of it. I think OU is just kind of confident in their development process on defense.
Sure.
I think, last year, I remember after spring, everyone was freaking out that we didn't have a cornerback, right? Just freaking out about it left and right. Like, we got to add. I mean, I think we did a Sooner Intel show where we were kind of debating it back and forth a little bit after the nonsense that was the Crimson Combine, and we were talking about it. And and then we didn't get a cornerback in the spring portal, and we're like, is that a mistake? What are we doing? And I think, when this is, you're now talking about Brent has the staff that he wants at the linebacker room, right? This is the first time where the linebacker coach is returning for 3 seasons, right? So you're finally having him back. We got Godwin as all kinds of other Sooner backers that are in Norman hanging around. There's Rufus is still around, and you've also got the Clemson guy whose name I forget, the linebacker. Skowski. So Brent finally has a linebacker room that has got guys that he trusts, and you've got Kip who can coach people up, coach on the field.
Of course.
So yeah, I think on defense. Everyone's like, well, we need to add another defensive end. Well, we need to add another defensive tackle. And you just see OU basically saying, Chavis and Bates are saying, we got guys. I got guys that we recruited that are about to get it's their second year for some, third year for others. Right. And it's time they're going to start stepping up. And I think we at least need to give the defensive coaches, they've earned the right for us to have a little confidence in their ability to develop youngsters over spring and August and get them ready to play.
Well, and I think a lot of that has to do with the fact, you obviously you lose an important piece of that, the crew on the defensive side in Jay Valai to the NFL, but you turn around and maybe replace him with a net positive. A guy coming out over from Michigan. He's been one of the top DB coaches in the country for a while now. So you don't really lose anything for sure. I mean, I don't know that I don't want to take a shot at Jay Valai or anything like that, but I would say that in any event, you didn't hurt anything. And then, I think that you look at everything with DeMarco Murray. I know a lot of people were hating on DeMarco, but DeMarco was getting it done recruiting wise. You lose him to the Chiefs and you're able to come back and add arguably the best running back coach in the country for the last 4 or 5 years. Anyway,
he's he certainly had a right to that title when he left Notre Dame.
Yeah. So I mean, at the end of the day, just sticking with the defensive side, I would say that they kind of got everything together what you would expect from a Brent Venables defensive coaching staff. I think that they're in good to go. You've got 2 freshman All-American guys coming back, hopefully healthy this year, starting off the year, but you've got some guys behind them that are probably going to press for playing time as well. I don't know why you would worry about anything when it comes to the Sooner defense. I think it all goes to the other side of the ball.
Yeah, I think, you guys are, I mean, to me, that's when I look at the offseason, I look at the coaching hires and they're not Clemson guys or OU guys or any kind of trend that you were concerned Brent was getting into. He just went out, saw the hiring pool, did interviews, and grabbed the best guy that he could. And OU obviously paid good money for both those guys. So the sense that Oklahoma is like doing this on the cheap, let's just disregard that, right? That's no longer, if you got Dalen McCullough, that was not a cheap hire. Lamar Gordon, that wasn't a cheap hire. You could have picked up, some good young guys like Chip Viney at DB coach, for example, right? Or you could have picked up somebody at running back coach, someone coming into their own, a younger guy who would have just a lower sticker value. But you went out and you got veteran, established coaches who bring a lot. Who, as you said, I mean, Morgan is at worst a push, and McCullough taking the full view of everything is probably a net positive over DeMarco. So and then it's apparently a year since Nagy was announced. That's what he's going on KREF tomorrow to do an interview, kind of talking with Dari about that. But I think so far you'd have to say for the first Nagy offseason, and let's just call that sort of December through today. I think you'd have to, in terms of an off-season grade for what we've seen from OU, in terms of the portal, how they closed in high school recruiting, getting Jaden Pettit, Jasir Rogers, and Jonathan Hatton. And then you look at the portal acquisitions, especially the tight end room. Gabe and Teddy did their review of Rocky Beers today on YouTube. They're in the Weeds video, and Rocky Beers looks like a kid who can play. That was a good pickup. When you look at all the portal acquisitions, and then you look at the coaching acquisitions, and you look at the seamless way that they appear to be upgrading strength and conditioning as well. Dobson's taking over. I'll tell you guys something I've heard is that OU's made a serious investment in both new equipment, both strength and conditioning and recovery. Those things are going on. It just looks like to me, OU added another analyst for the D-line with the Clemson guy who's coming on board, who looks like basically Chavis 2.0 to help Bates. And you look at the hires they made and how professional it was and how professionally it was handled. It's hard not to give Jim Nagy year one from, ignoring the Ott thing. That's about the only negative you can really point at from the time he's been hired. Yeah. To today, I think you'd have to give Jim Nagy an A and give OU's offseason an A.
Yeah, I think so. What do you think's the biggest net positive for you, Kchris, about the offseason?
I think probably the biggest positive for me, again, this is what I've been talking about all along, is just betting on some guys. I mean, I'm excited to see some of these names, the Nigel Smiths, possibly the Trent Wilsons of the world. I'm excited to see what that development is there. And the reason why I'm excited to see a lot of these guys that they're betting on is simply because the continuity of this defense. Now there's not necessarily a drop off because the knowledge base isn't there. A guy like the Bishop kid, right? He could come in, he could be plug and play. We've seen them be able to do that with Bothroyd, guys like that, right in the middle, especially in that middle. But when you look at the defense overall, the defense doesn't necessarily take a step back. It feels like it could be better, right? Couple of guys that you need to be really good. You need that cornerback room to kind of round off. But I think with the coaching hire that you got, I think that again, like Chris Mason is saying, the worst he is a push, right? And he's still same type of kids, same kind of kids, recruiting the same kids that OU was recruiting. So definitely excited about that. I think also it's just Jason, kind of going back to what you talked about as well, but I would say that for the offensive side more, I think you went out there and really addressed what you needed to address. Now, I'll be with you on this right here, Jason. They got to go do it. We can sit here and talk about it all day. They got to go do it. But the thing is,
true.
when you go get the tight end, you go and put money in Hatton's hand. You go get the Walker kid. You got a Avant Lloyd kid who could be the most underrated player going into the spring. You go get a really good running back coach. But again, those tight ends, what you want to do, you want to go out there and get some really explosive wide receivers and give him different body types to throw to. And I think this year you will see a true rotation at the wide receiver. Guys, I just feel like they went out there and hit it on all cylinders what they needed to do. And they did not need to go out there and do a whole overhaul of anything. It was just simply getting the keys to unlock this offense. Most talented roster that obviously Arbuckle has had offensively. And I think that the Trail Harris kid, I think that he's going to turn heads.
I like Trail.
Livingston is going to be a safety valve, I believe, for Mateer to help him get out of trouble. But again, and
those big tight ends too. Those big tight ends, bro. You got a 6'7", 250 guy.
I'm almost forgetting. I think you went out there and got some key additions on the offensive line as well. I think the Marion Harris kid, the Kirkland kid.
I think that's an underrated move myself.
Joseph. Yeah, Peyton Joseph.
Peyton Joseph. Those are two kids right there. I'm like, I don't know. We'll see kind of, when we get here, what's going to happen, because there's going to be some battles at that spot. But I think what you went out there and did, you gave yourself a shot to actually go and capitalize on this championship window that you have. And I think that's what I'm most excited about.
Right. And I would think, what you were talking about, you got to see him go do it now at this point. I would agree with that. But everything that I'm seeing, and I've been probably the most vocal about offensively and what I see them doing or not doing. Listen, if you go and get a guy like Dalen McCullough, who had a 2,000-yard rusher at Indiana whenever he was with
Kevin Wilson.
Kevin Wilson, yes. When he was with Kevin Wilson, a 1,500-yard guy at USC. He had the two of the last two amazing running backs at Notre Dame, obviously in Jeremiah Love, and right before that, what's his name?
Estime.
Audric Estime. Yeah, Audric Estime. These are guys that have all had monster years in college football, which is why, the People's Bodyguard. Shut up. You ain't got a clue, bro. But we're talking about, obviously, if you go get a guy like that, you go and you add the guys at the tight end position that can help you block-wise. You add the offensive line dudes. That signals at least that you're pressing, if you're Brent Venables, you're pressing them to get big in the running game, to commit to the running game, which is what I think everybody needs. And yes, Kevin's new title. Yeah, I forget exactly what it is, but it's something along the lines of, I'm kind of running shit around here. You know what I mean? It's at least he's going to have a lot more influence, I think, than just your average, analyst or whatever, if you want to call it that, right?
Well, he's Brent's consigliere on offense, right? That's basically to butcher an Italian term there.
Consigliere consigliere.
Yeah, I think Kchris is right, because when you look at what OU, there's so much runway on offense, right? And you've got a Marion Harris that basically gives you 6 guys that have started in the SEC right off the bat. That's what the O-line group has, and 6 guys who've started in the SEC. They have SEC starting experience. And then you go from that to, then you've got Hayden Hansen, who's 6'7", 270, who's maybe the best blocking tight end in college football last year. At least he's in the discussion. And you paid a lot of money for him. And you got him right that was one of the things about the Nagy offseason, right? Is that there was a portal plan, and OU executed it very well. Some of the key pieces OU grabbed before really anybody had a chance to do anything different, right? They got Hansen, Amarian Harris, Trell Harris, and Livingston, and Ozowalu and Cole Sullivan, sort of the 5 key pieces, I think. They had those guys in the first 3 days. Nagy knew who he wanted and went and got them. And that was a difference to me in terms of just how the front office is working. And I think those pieces, a lot of them are on offense. And, I think it just helps OU. I think, you have mad momentum going into this offseason if you're from the OU football program, right? I mean, this isn't losing the Navy. This isn't basically gutting what went on offensively and trying to, from the chaos that was last year. Arbuckle returns. From everything we see, he's reading. He had a heavy say in Dylan McCullough. He was like, yeah, I want a guy like that in the room with his running game knowledge to help me design an offense for the SEC.
Absolutely.
So, you don't hire that guy and then ignore what he has to say. You don't hire Kevin Wilson's running back coach if Arbuckle and Wilson aren't simpatico about what they need to do this offseason. And Kevin's like...
Oh, Wilson was excited about it. I mean, he's tweeting out Boomer Sooner and out of nowhere.
And obviously that relationship was a key reason why OU was able to keep McCullough from interviewing at Miami and some other places. And McCullough's relationship with Brent, and it just seems like the external view of what OU's doing in college football is very positive. When you can get McCullough, Lamar, you get Lamar Morgan, you're able to the view of what Brent's doing and what OU's doing seems to have. I mean, if you looked at Twitter when they got Lamar Morgan, there were lots of folks like, this is a great hire by OU. And when they got Dalen McCullough, there were lots of folks, just college football folks, saying, this is a great hire. OU got a home run hire. This is fantastic. So I just think the respect level for how OU's operating, when you look externally to a lot of the voices in college football, it just seems like it's night and day from where we were the end of last February. That when we weren't sure if Brent was saving his job, it was just, we were doing those intel shows and it was, I don't know, man. I don't know. Look at that schedule. I just think the transition over the last 12 months and just the professionalism and how buttoned down OU seems now in doing things and how professional is the huge transition.
Right. And I think, I'm hearing 10-2 is about as good as you can do in the SEC. Well, it's not necessarily, but I think it was about as good as you were going to do last year in view of the fact of the way things were. I think that the main thing is sustaining that in this conference and to be able to do this year after year and really put your best foot forward to win a national championship. Because I think that we're talking about a college football world right now that, listen, if you're Indiana and you can go win a natty, you can go do it at Oklahoma.
Have a better offense. That's all you need.
Have a better offense. Run the ball. Your defense is built to win, all of it. The offense looks built to win all of it. I think that obviously you got to have better quarterback play. You got to run the ball. I think to run the ball, if you run the ball, you'll get better quarterback play because you're not putting so much on his shoulders, right? That's the biggest thing for me. But yeah, listen, I think that, and like I said, I've said a lot. I've been, as hard as anybody on this offensive side of the football, especially on Arbuckle and Mateer. But I think that the moves that they've made make you think there's no reason why they shouldn't be better on that side of the ball. And it's not like you had to be a ton better. You just had to be serviceable.
Bro, if you could run the ball, I mean, if we're able to run the ball, there's really two things that would help this offense an awful lot. Is Jason, you and I were there, and don't get me wrong, there were some times things sailed this and that. When it was good, when Mateer was humming, them digs, all the rest of that stuff, he was killing that Alabama secondary. But if Mateer could stay in the pocket, not get happy feet, but also if Mateer can have a running game that's backing him up, I'm not necessarily asking for 100-yard rusher per game. I'm asking for a collective effort, even just sprinkling in Mateer in there a little bit to get to that 100 per game, where you got multiple guys who are contributing and actually doing something. To me, that would help a lot. Again.
The concern I would have, though, is getting him hurt. If he's running the ball like he was last year and you don't really have anything proven behind you.
No, and that's the whole thing. You still have to have that threat of it, but at the same time, you got to have a running game. That's the reason why I think all eyes are looking, obviously, at this offensive line, but also at X-Rob and so on and so forth in that running back room. Can we be healthy by the time that first kickoff? You know what I'm saying? Like the running game. When you watch Arbuckle's offense, I'm talking about the explosiveness, and I know Washington State is far from the caliber of football you're playing in the SEC week in and week out. But when you watch the offense, you look how explosive it can be. I'm not just talking pass game. They have some run concepts that he wants to run, especially with that pull. But if he could get it, if they could get some type of run game, especially, I mean, you go back to the Ole Miss game, South Carolina game, couple of those games where we're actually running the ball and we look pretty damn good doing it. It helped out tremendously because then everything underneath, things a little bit deeper, whatever you wanted to do, you were able to do that. But I think towards the end of the season, we just got to the point where we were so damn predictable, and especially in that Bama game, it just wasn't there. I think we were pushing. We had some things open up, but it just never developed. And, just not having that run game really hurt us in the end, toward the end. But, I mean, hell, our best two backs were injured anyways.
Defender 106 says, with Mateer not challenged at quarterback, he'll make those mental mistakes that cost us in the playoffs. I don't think that's necessarily the case. Listen, again, I've been the guy that's been the hardest on Mateer in Arbuckle, and I would tell you that if you don't put him in a position where he has to be everything for this offense every week, then maybe you give him a better opportunity to not make those stupid mistakes. And listen, this is a time that if you're Ben Arbuckle, you need to be tough on him. This is tough love time, man. Expect more of him. Expect him to make the right choice from play to play, whether it's in the RPO or whatever it may be. Make sure you're giving him less options on what it is, and make sure you're holding him accountable for what he's doing. Right? I think that's the biggest thing that you have to do. But I think just a running game alone, it's got to free him up and coming in healthy. But that's the thing, is you got to make sure he stays healthy. If he gets hurt again, I mean, he wasn't hurt to the point that he couldn't play at all. I think that there was a point that he wasn't very effective because of the injury, but he got a little better as the time went on as far as health was concerned. But there was still sputtering times. At the end of the day, you start him off healthy. You got to keep him healthy.
Yeah,
that's the big thing.
Yeah, and again, better offensive line, better pocket. He's more comfortable in the pocket, right? Better running game, better targets, more variety of targets, healthier running back room. It sounds like we got 4 power backs, and we've got Avant as a change of pace back. It all adds up. It's one of these things that it all sort of adds up, right? If the tight ends play is better and the O-line play is better, it opens things up for the wide receivers, and it opens things up for Mateer to make bigger chunk plays, right? Grind, hit teams with the running game, and then bigger chunk plays because we'll give Buckle, he can scheme guys open. We saw it all year long, and if
Oh, yes, we did. And he didn't see it all year long. The problem was Mateer not seeing it all year long.
Yeah, but if Mateer's more confident in the pocket and opposing defenses are more worried about our running game, then some of those options just become more obvious, right? For lack of a better term, right? That you see them, you're confident in your protection, you go through the reads, you find the open guy, you make the big play. I mean,
agreed. And if we're running split zone again, I mean, that's what I'm excited to see. If we're able to run some of those key cash plays, some of those key concepts that he wants to run,
with 12 personnel and stuff like that.
Yeah, I mean, if you're able to hit on that stuff, that's going to help tremendously as well. I think that you're hopeful that things will progress, but again, second season in the SEC for both of those guys, Mateer and Arbuckle. I think things will calm down, things will be better. And again, I just feel like you went out there and got the weapons that you needed. I mean, hats off to Burks, Giovanni Gibson, all those guys. We had high hopes for them, and I think that they went out there and they did what they could. I think Giovanni is going to have a hell of a season, being healthy at Cincinnati.
He was starting to look like his old self at the end of the year, but he just, you kind of ran out of time with him.
Yeah, you just felt like, just kind of ran out of steam, a little bit of gas. But, I mean, I'm excited, man. I think that you could see a real rotation with the wide receivers. That's what I'm hopeful for, that you'll see more than just 3 or 4 wide receivers, but because we have some capable guys. But if you're able to get the most out of that room, man, I think it really will help with what you want to do. And I mean, got to go do it, because those first 5 weeks of the season, man, those first 5 games, that's where it matters. You got to have a good start to the season.
Yeah, no doubt.
Go ahead.
Yeah, I just think that overall, when you see what OU's been able to accomplish from December to February, end of February, there's a lot of momentum building. You see it in high school recruiting. Shout out to our recruiting show on Mondays.
Mm-hmm.
Rivals just redid their rankings, and OU's got the 3rd class in the country, has the most prospects from the top 300 verbaled. They've got 2 5-star offensive linemen verbaled. It's just there's to Jason's point. You put up another 10-2 type season with that. That's the kind of consistency you need to start seeing. And the momentum wave is building in Norman, right? That's, but Jason's correct. You've got to maintain that momentum, put back-to-back years. If you put up another 10-2 season, that first SEC season just kind of gets wiped away, So, Robert Carton's saying, does OU have a 6'4", 270 tight end? No, they don't. They have a 6'8", 270 tight end who can knock people around.
And a 6'6", 240 guy, right?
They've got 2 6'5", 250 guys. I mean, I don't think college football really understands how much improvement's gone on in our tight end room.
Yeah.
I mean, that just from a personnel standpoint, and then you factor in Jason Witten taking over the room from a coaching standpoint and development standpoint, it's literally like OU's going from 0 miles an hour to like 60 to like 55, and we're finally hitting the speed limit, whereas we've been basically stuck in neutral or stuck in park at tight end for the last 3 years really.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, it just.
Yeah, I agreed.
I mean, you look at all the teams in the playoffs that were really successful. They had good tight end games. They've got players at tight end. They've got good players at tight end. Especially the Indiana guy played his ass off in the last 2 games. Their tight end, their H-back tight end guy. And OU's just OU's finally got some dudes at tight end. The Van Dorselick here, I think, was a massive pickup that kind of goes under the radar a little bit, behind Hansen and Beers. So you just, from a talent standpoint, our wide receiver room has just been transformed, and I don't think most of college football understands how bad it was and how good OU could be at tight end this fall.
They could be really good at that position, you know. I mean, you probably have a freshman guy a guy that played a lot as a true freshman at Tennessee that they'd like if they didn't have to play him much, you know. They may not have to.
Yeah, because the Bears kid looks good. If you haven't watched the Gabe and Teddy video on him, watch him. That kid can play. He's not just a throw-in because
he's a good player, man.
Because his sister is the center on the basketball team.
Oh. Yeah, no doubt, man. No doubt. Yeah, guys, me being out in that cold on Sunday was not cool after being 70 degrees. It was 40 the next day, man. That just zapped all of us. Big Cuz is real sick still. So, yeah, man. But this isn't dressed up, dude. It's a golf shirt. Come on, fellas. It's just a golf shirt. Hey, let's switch gears. Let's go to this combine stuff. Which combine performance do you think is going to change the national narrative about player development in Oklahoma? I mean, you got 10 guys in there. You had some monster performances today. R. Mason, G Baby. We just heard about. Did you say 4.6 for Owen Heineke?
4.6,
something like that.
Yeah, 4.62.
Yeah, that's pretty solid too. I mean, what do you think? What are you expecting? Who's the guy? Who's going to have the biggest performance for you? Go ahead.
It's G Baby at this point, right? I mean, he had the best vertical leap of a defensive tackle in like the last 30 years. He performed in the top 3% of all defensive tackles at the combine since like 86 to this year. He looked great in drills. Jeremiah was talking him up left and right. And then this means Todd Bates has more talking points in recruiting at defensive tackle and D-line. So that's a huge impact. I think Heineke is going to be drafted. Marvin Jones Jr. did pretty good today. RMT stumbled on his 240 times. That's why he didn't break something like a 4.55. Just pure and simple. I bet he reruns at OU's Pro Day and puts up a sub 4.6 times, something like that. You could just see he was stumbling coming out of the gate.
Because everybody still thinks that he killed today, even with that number. I was like, well, okay.
I mean, he did. I mean, his 10-yard split was damn good. I mean, even stumbling at the gate, it was like a 1.64. You know, obviously the Bailey kid from Texas Tech.
Sure.
Who we knew was going to be a top 5 guy. He had a great combine. But yeah, I think the interesting guy is going to be, there's some buzz around what Kanek's going to do tomorrow, which is kind of fascinating from a certain perspective. How heavy is he and how fast can he really run? Dominic Williams didn't run a 40 today, but he looked pretty good in drills. He looked like he leaned up a little bit. They measured him at 6'2", 305. So that helps him. I think he'll run a 40 at the OU Pro Day, based upon everything I've heard. But 10 legit guys at the combine. That's a step in the right direction. And I was talking with some other Sooner fans, Kchris and Jason. I think OU will be 8 to 10 guys next year too, possibly maybe a little higher. I mean, it's you're talking Peyton Bowen, maybe Jacoby Johnson, Kip Lewis, Taylor Wine, David Stone, John Mateer, Sategna, maybe Trell Harris, Amarion Harris. I mean, Hayden Hansen. I think I just basically hit about 8 or 9 names right there. So it's encouraging that I think OU's looking at a run of about 8 to 10 guys going to the combine for the next 3-4 years.
Is Kendall Daniels not running the 40?
He didn't run the 40. He's not running the 40. No, I don't know if he's waiting for his pro day.
I don't think they're worried about what his 40 time is, man. I think everything else is probably. He's in good shape, right?
It would have been nice if he could have competed with Sonny Styles for the Sonny Styles from Ohio State went nuts today. It would have been nice if Kendall could have ran a little bit with him on some national hype there. But yeah, I think I think he went today. He would have been part of the linebacker group, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. So
if you're if you're talking solely just off of just just a development. I know that question was asked. I mean, it's got to be G baby for sure. I mean, I think that obviously you could look at R Mason, and I mean, guys, like let's be real. From 2022 when Venables and crew first got here till now, this is what it's supposed to look like. To be quite frank with you, and I think that. When you look at RMT, that was expected for what he was going to do. Obviously, that 40 times could probably be a second faster, a smidge faster. But when you look at G Baby has played himself into, hey, this is a guy here that has round one potential, but we could probably see him in round two, round three, get picked up very quickly in those rounds. That guy right there is a commodity. He's going to turn heads, and I think the thing is that. A lot of NFL teams are going to want OU players because I think these OU players are going to stick around. When you look in the league, and again, you look at Leao up there with the Raiders and all the rest of it. I mean, the proof is in the pudding. These OU guys are sticking. These Venables guys are sticking in the league, and you've seen it all across. And I think that it's obviously what's going on here. If y'all mind me saying this, I saw a mock draft the other day. Now, funny thing is, I've seen a couple of mock drafts for 2027 already. I'm ready for that. But I've seen David Stone be as high as like 7 or 8 on those. But I saw one where he wasn't even in the first round picture, but Eli Bowen was in the first round, a late first rounder. I said, Eli Bowen? I think it was on PFF, and I was like, really? Interesting.
He's sticky, bro. He's sticky.
He has the talent, just the height is what I'm
sticky,
like,
bro.
Is that gonna be a knock on him going into the league?
I mean, dude, if you can run with those guys that he's run with, we watched him do it. I mean, Ryan Williams had one of the best years as a freshman that you could have had as a receiver, and he made it hard for his ass all day. And I mean, as good as Cortland had his moments too, like that, where he was. I mean, look, he may have given up a shot here and there, but for the most part, none of it. It just, I mean, no memory whatsoever. He flushed that shit right away and come right back at you.
Yeah,
these guys are just. I think that. Yeah, I don't know. It might be a bit of a stretch with his height. Yeah, at 5'9", if you're being generous, probably. Yeah, I would think. I would think it might be a little bit, but also. Look, you just have to look at the skill, though. I mean, you look at what he did in high school and what he's done since he got to Oklahoma. It wasn't a fluke what he did in high school in Texas. 6A football, leading guy, didn't guy history and interceptions. They didn't even throw at him most of the time. The last 2 years he was there, and he was still making interceptions.
I think with Eli, what I'm looking for this year as far as his development is concerned, can he win just a few more 50-50 balls?
Yeah, I would say so.
And obviously, and he'll get to go through spring and August camp, at least hopefully.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that'll make
those first round mocks as well. Okay, Chris.
I didn't see Peyton, but I saw Eli.
That's wild to me. I gotta say.
Yeah, I mean, I gotta think Peyton's. I mean,
bro, he could probably play corner if you needed him to. The guy's a baller, man.
Yeah, I mean, it's interesting that you have. I mean, to me, D. Stone and Taylor Wine should be in like a first round mock draft.
I agree.
I mean that seems. If you're just projecting where they were and another year in this system and development in that system, that seems like pretty obvious to me. But yeah, I mean, it's just good to see OU guys at the combine. It's so good to see OU having players talked about being first, second, third round picks. It's all positive from that perspective, and again, I think we just rattled off guys for 2027 draft, and then potentially you've got like a Foji, you got those guys in EPL, sure. Down the road maybe.
Oganowski and Powers. I mean,
there's a development path that we have talent-wise that we just, other than quarterback and at a stretch at wide receiver, we're talking about a talent level that we just haven't seen at OU since since Bob's best runs.
Mm-hmm.
I mean,
S4O, he was kind of starting at the end of the year a lot of the time, and he was certainly getting his fair share of time out there. His run fits were freaking unbelievable at the end of the year.
And Jason talks to Big Mike, so we know that we're going to get some BOGO push there, which just makes complete sense. But I'm hearing other guys completely unrelated all raving about Boganowski.
Just out of fairness to the Boganowskis, Big Mike doesn't give him any love. He's.
I know.
He gives him love as far as he thinks what he thinks he is, but he's not giving him. It's not just he's my kid.
I just meant that you do if it would be easy to have some bias. I mean, that kid is great. That's a great it'd be easy to have some bias for you. It would be. I'm not saying you do.
Sure. Yeah.
I'm just saying it would be, but I'm saying
absolutely. But I would also say that when Petty comes out and calls him the best, he might be the best talent at that position ever that he's ever seen. And I mean, he played with Roy.
No, you're right. I mean, and the guys unconnected to anybody that are telling me that Bogo is having an absurd offseason.
I think for me, if you go back and watch that Tennessee game, Boganowski was a big part of what they were doing in that secondary because he was robbing everything across that middle. So, I mean, it was easy for guys to really just kind of sit back there when RSJ and Peyton Bowen were getting those interceptions. Obviously, you had Eli Bowen over there on the other side, but he was covering that middle and he was running with those guys. I mean, what they were doing kind of a little bit like of a jackknife, kind of a zone almost to where, hey, he's coming down, but that guy right there that's running that orbit route, he's running with him, taking that picture away, making that picture really hard for Aguilar to see. Now, Aguilar kept throwing it, and we kept getting it right. So
I think it was you you were talking so much about Boganowski in that game. That was the one that I remember you talking about.
He was robbing like hell, and Venables played a lot of robber this year, especially that game against that fear and shoot. That's something that you have to do. And I thought that he played really well. I mean, when you go back and watch some of those replays, whether you're watching Mr. McIntosh, his highlights, or you're watching the game back on any channel, go back and watch. And when you pay attention, you see 25 flashing across that middle. That's what you see. You see him playing very assignment sound, and you see guys making plays off of that because he's taking care of business. He's taking care of that middle. So it forced Aguilar to see something very different. It changed. That's the change that you see as far as that picture after that snap is done whenever BV is calling the defense.
No doubt. I think at the end of the day, I mean, what we're talking about all around is, I mean, it's been a while since you've seen, I don't know, have you ever had this many guys in the combine? I don't even remember ever seeing this many guys in one class.
Yeah, I mean, I think like 2022, the Winfrey, Isaiah Thomas, Benito, Asamoah. You just had a lot of and there's some of the offensive guys.
Probably going back to like the Bradford and DeMarco years and stuff like
exactly.
that.
You've had those numbers before, but I mean, to go from
it's been a while though. It's been a while.
But to go from what was it last year, 3 guys?
Mm-hmm.
And it was it was basically just Downs, Stutz, and Bowman.
Yeah.
So to go from
but
that,
I also think that the way that these guys have gone and played, the guys that have gotten into the league and stuff like that, they've gone out there and availed themselves for what. Listen, I don't think that it's any secret that Danny Stutzman wasn't recruited by BV at Clemson and probably wouldn't have been recruited if he'd have been here at Oklahoma at the time. But he helped, Danny put in the work and was able to get the coaching and he's done great with it. Obviously, look, there's not a whole lot you can say about some of these guys that have gone, they've had some studs, but it seems like that the level, the floor gets higher, year after year after year with these guys. It just gets higher on that defensive side. Their ceilings are stupid high, but their floor is a little higher too. So it's why you see some of these guys end up portaling out of here, because if you get hurt and you get behind that, you get too deep in that, we've talked about this for the last couple of years. The deeper you get on that depth chart, the further, the less chance you got of getting in there, right? It's just not going to happen.
And I think, back to just one hook back to our off-season topic. OU did about as good as they could with retention on defense and not losing, with the depth that they established playing so many guys. I mean, OU took some hits, but OU did about as well as they could with that whole process. I mean, other than Marcus Strong at D-line, and really that's
Are we really worried about that? I know that Marcus was looking like he was that guy, but when you got Nigel and you've got Trent coming back in there, I mean, we've been expecting and waiting on Nigel Smith for a couple of years now, and so now
they both have better upsides. So the only question is, does Bates get that out of these guys? And all the evidence we have so far says yes.
Right.
When Todd Bates says that guy can play, he can play. I mean, it's
like you would have expected that they would. I mean, after kind of the way that things were going in the NIL and, the Stoney stuff, you would have expected that Nigel probably would have been one of those guys to split if he wasn't playing last year, right?
Yeah.
And especially before this year. But obviously they were able to. I mean, I think that he knew that
they invested in him, and they told him, and Bates basically said, probably pulled Wilson and Smith aside and said, guys, it's time to go.
Yeah.
And Wilson, when you see him, I mean,
yeah, dude, he looks like he's 40 years old.
And so
trucker, that big trucker, is 40 years old, bro.
Yeah, so I think the combine's telling us that defensively things are heading in the right direction. We just need the offense to get some continuity and consistency going and move in the right direction. We swapped out the one coach that we knew was not recruiting and was not developing. Right? And couldn't bring in portal players. I mean, for all the EJ nonsense, and some of it I think is completely valid, he brings in transfer portal players and they play, right? I mean, so you can't knock him for that. And for DeMarco, he was bringing in high school talent. You can't knock him for that. But the tight end coach wasn't doing either of those things.
The tough thing about EJ, and you're saying he brings in these guys in the portal, but he's also bringing in guys on the high school, and it's tough for you to expect a high school kid to be better than a portal kid that is developed, right? That's already been in the weight room, been in the weight program and nutrition program at the FBS level and some in the Power 4. It's tough to expect that. I think that, I know that they're talking about that a lot right now. As far as that Nagy wants to see more out of these freshman guys that they're spending so much money on. But that being said, but then you also went out and was big in the portal again. So it's kind of hard to expect, for these guys to just break out. I think that you're going to see some of these second-year guys especially, you should expect them to break out probably this year a little bit as well. But I think it's the other thing that was hard, they didn't really rotate receivers very much last year.
It was
wasn't something they were big on.
And it's a problem back to Levy, right? We've not been very deep in our rotations. The no huddle stuff with Levy kind of hurt us, although in 23 they kind of broke. They finally, they kind of got going with a bigger wide receiver core going.
Sure.
But yeah, I mean that's what you want to see. But I mean, I'm just saying that EJ, you can knock EJ, but he's able to integrate. He's been able to integrate transfer wide receivers in and get production out of it.
Right.
You can't argue about that.
If you're gonna, though, you got to knock him for the high school stuff, but it's because of the guys he's brought in the portal.
It's a yin yang situation, right? It's part of this and part of that.
Exactly.
So, but I do think, you look at what. Yeah, I think we finally got a mix of on the wide receiver. We've got, you've got Sategna, Livingston, Carter, and Harris, and it's a veteran core, and you've got good players underneath, and you need to mix them in. because what happens.
Elijah Thomas. Oh, yeah.
Yeah, because what happens is when injuries happen, you've got to be able to start. When we lost the guy whose name I'm blanking on, who hit the wall, Mateer, that kind of hurt Mateer because that was kind of one of his safety valve guys. I mean, he was hurt, and now that didn't help. Yeah. But we got now pads on the wall. So
Keontez Lewis is who you're talking about.
Exactly. So I think, you've got a mix there. And it's just, if we could just get the offense kind of getting that continuity that we see on defense, and you've got a good coaching staff at this point on offense, I think, you've got the right guys in the right places. That if you've got the guys in the right places, you've got talent in the skill position area. The Buckle calling the game and QB development. Again,
I think that's the key right now. Right now, it's all about the running game. It's all about the running game and whether or not Mateer takes a step forward.
Yeah, can Buckle do that? And we're in show me mode there, right? We understand it was year one of the SEC. Calling an SEC game plan is different than Washington State, and I think there was some learning curve there, right? And not having a running game, and the O-line getting kind of discombobulated, with the five.
Also, the O-line got better throughout the year, and so that's why I think you feel better about the O-line coming in, especially with the additions. But I think that, the fact that you got the younger you got, the better it seemed you got was a good thing.
Yeah, so you're moving forward. There are clearly 6 guys who are poised to start, right, on the offensive line. And you know who those 6 guys in spring are. You're going to know who those 6 guys are in August, right? With the only wild card being if, Deacon Schmidt or Peyton Joseph or Afalava or Daniel UK just are blow it up and pushing to be included in that group. And that would only be a positive, not a negative, right? So, but you've got 6 SEC starters who have SEC experience, and the offensive development all runs through that. So, but it looks like I may have lost. We may have lost Jason. Kchris, are you back? All right, there we go. All right, Jason, you're on mute. So, and so are you, Kchris. I'm the only one talking.
Jason, you're on mute.
Shit, it muted me. Yeah, I don't know. Once the stream, it's been kicking me. I don't know if it's EV Mux or what it is, but something's kicking my ass lately. So I don't know.
But
Thank you for the chat, Crow. Appreciate that.
Yeah. But I think you just look at the different pieces. I mean, it's a tough schedule, but psyched about having a spring game again. If you want to talk about off-season momentum, positive news, we got a spring game back. So we're going to get to watch, hopefully, some running game, hopefully see these young backs. I mean, I'd sit Blaylock and X-Rob for the spring game, to be honest. I'd let the young guys let the young guys run, man, and go from there. So it's nice to have that back. And we're about to get we're about to have a big recruiting weekend next weekend, March 7th. And OU's lining up recruits for their June and May for a May weekend, June. I mean, it's all again. If you kick off this fall and get another 10 victories in the SEC and be in the playoff hunt, I think you've got the momentum you need to start sustaining things. You start running the ball and Mateer plays better. That's almost validation that you've got a football operation that is going to sustain things.
And I think that's what you have to see if you're this fan base, really. I mean, look, and I think probably for the guys making decisions about who's your coach, you can't have them going back and forth from 10-2 to 6-7, 10-2 to 6-7. You just can't have it. So in order to do that, you're going to have some continuity in some of these spots, right?
Sustained success, right?
Sustained success, correct. Whether it's the SEC or not, nobody joined the SEC to be at the middle or the bottom of this shit. That's not why they're there.
That's not what Oklahoma's history is. That's not.
No.
We understand. We don't need to go back and rehash 2024 for crying out loud. None of us need that. No. But we understand the improvements in 2025. We understand the improvements this offseason, and it again, you pull off another 10-2 playoff type season, especially with the improvements in offense that we hope are there.
Yeah, win some games in the playoff would be great.
Win a playoff game, host a home playoff game. Apparently, a home playoff game is worth like $750,000 in just sales tax to the city of Norman. That's like in a 24-hour time period, basically.
Wow.
So you can only imagine how much more money it made for the Norman economy, the OU athletic department.
Right? It's probably a $10 million weekend.
Yeah. So, but yeah, that's where we are. I mean, I don't know. I mean, last year I thought I think we were positive about what we thought was coming, but I feel it seems like a more terra firma kind of positivity. Like, I'm positive and I got real reason to think that, versus positive and kind of hoping. It's more of we'll just look at what we did.
Yeah, I think I'm still a little on the, let's wait and see when it comes to the offensive side, just because I need to. I'm worried. Yeah. My concern would be Mateer getting hurt, because then you don't have any experience behind him.
And most programs are in that spot too. I mean, I'm not excusing it. I'm just saying in this current environment,
it's tough to get two of them. It's tough to
keeping two guys. I mean, Oregon's got Dante Moore and the Raiola kid, and that's really more a function of Raiola's injury and just kind of flaming out in Nebraska a little bit.
Let me ask this: who do you guys think would be ready to go if there was an issue with Mateer? Would you? I mean, Kchris, I've heard you talk about in the past that you like Jet. Do you think that?
I would. I mean, my thought process would go to Neubauer or Jet if that was the case, as far as getting somebody in there. I mean, yeah, everybody would be screaming for Bo to get the start, but you could see Jet New or Neubauer if that was the case.
Witt's got a big arm.
Yeah, I mean, there are folks in the Switzer Center who like Whit Neubauer and like what he could do. That's the reason why they didn't make a move for. I kept expecting like some veteran guy to be added, and they just didn't go there.
And at the end of the day, I think Bo Bentley's going to be a good player. I think it's a lot to ask of him to come in as a true freshman and run and on a contending SEC team, presumably be able to fill that void.
Yeah, I don't know that any freshman. I mean, unless we have like some Joe Moore award-winning O-line group that's just plowing people. I mean, and even in the SEC, that's.
I think it's tough for any freshman to do it, but I mean, you haven't really seen anybody, but except for old boy at Clemson do it as a true freshman.
Yeah, I mean, you're right. It would be unrealistic. I mean, I think the major thing, Jason, is what's the injury time frame, right? Do you just need Witt to hold the fort down for a game or two? Although this whole
Jet or whatever,
but this whole, we'll see the other variable this fall that we'll dig in deeper on Sooner Intel once it gets official is if this 9-game freshman thing goes into effect, it changes everything.
Shit, dude.
It changes everything, right? I mean, it throws everything. You don't have to micromanage this thing that much any longer, and you can just play kids.
Yeah, having a lot of guys that are even second string guys, you could probably hold them out of 3 games and still get a lot out of them through the year.
Well, there's going to be 3 games where you just can't get guys like Kristen Moore or Bo Jandro onto the field, right? We're going to have 3 games where are going to be 1-score games in the fourth quarter where you just don't have them in the game, right? But that means you can swap them in for some of the other games we play and get the kids some reps and get the kids more exposure and decrease the reps on your veterans as it goes on. But yeah, it's interesting because This is where that from a game management perspective, we brought in 25 freshmen who are going through spring ball, and you've heard Nagy talk about the linebacker group are special teams demons, and you look at both the Jandro kids will blow kids up in special teams. So the more you could play those guys, but
Christian Moore too, man. That guy's got a freaking mean streak in him too, man.
And the more and then this kid we signed late who was blocking punts and field goals left and right, LeBron Bauer. So
dude, I like that guy. So I've never even heard of such a thing. 10 blocked kicks in a season. Never even heard of such a thing.
But you can redshirt him for a couple of games, but also get him some playing. I mean, if you're OU and you think you're a playoff team, and to Kchris's point, the first 5 weeks of this season will pretty much establish that fact.
It's no cakewalk. And with the show that I did yesterday on the doing the SEC Drive show, and we were talking about 5 games in the first half of the SEC season that could mean a lot. Oklahoma was at least involved in one, if not two, really 2 of them, if not more. When you start looking at, you've got, Georgia, and then 2 weeks later you're in the Red River game. I mean, we're talking about serious. There's some implications in those 2 games, right? Well, because I don't think that there's any. I don't think that it matters that you're going to a 9-game conference schedule. 10-2 is still going to be the number.
And both Texas and Oklahoma have big time non-conference games, right? I mean, let's not kid ourselves. I mean, the change in location, helps Texas. Arch coming back, helps Texas, but Ohio State still got the best talent, most talented roster in college football. No, nothing's changed there. I mean, they've got a bunch of guys at the combine again, Sonny Styles and McDonald and Reese, but they reload. It's OU and Texas. If Texas drops that Ohio State game, that's that puts their season automatically not quite on the brink, but pretty damn close. I mean, if they walk into Dallas with 2 losses, same thing for OU. OU walks in there with 2 losses, you're basically talking a playoff eliminator game, week 5 in Dallas.
Yeah,
I mean, doesn't Texas have a big time game right before Red River?
Yeah, they play Tennessee the week that Oklahoma plays Georgia.
So you've got, and
at Tennessee.
And no Aguilar, so who knows what Tennessee will have at QB, but
I think that they like their running backs, and they like. Listen, you might see a freshman quarterback playing there. Brandon looks like that guy, but they seem to like. Yeah, I mean we've done a couple of like profiles on him and stuff like that. He likes his redshirt freshman. I think they're in a quarterback battle though. Yeah. So I mean you got to trust. You got to kind of have to trust. What he does with his quarterbacks there.
Just put it one last way is because we didn't really say this, but if there was one position, Jason and Kchris, that you wish if you could have told Nagy, I need one more guy. In hindsight, is it a linebacker or is it a defensive tackle, or you're ready to just roll?
I think maybe another offensive lineman, if anything. I think they're good to go.
And they did add a late.
I'd like to be a little better depth wise. What we just talked about in the quarterback room, but I think all in all, I don't know. I trust where they're at with their linebackers. I think they went out and got the best linebacker available, in the portal. I think they have the best. I think that Kip Lewis is the best linebacker in the country already. So, I think they're in good shape there. I believe in their development at that position. Nate Dreiling has been that guy. As far as the Cheetah's concerned, and when it comes to that, Wes Goodwin has been coaching that guy up to be unbelievable for years now. We know he knows what he's doing with that position. So I'm not worried about the linebacker room. I think that, again, I think you said this to start off with. They've kind of proven that they know what they're doing, and when they don't make a move at that position, there's a reason why. And I think there's a reason why you're not hearing too much noise coming out of Oklahoma about Heineke.
Not panicking, not wrangling a judge for a quickie hearing injunction ruling.
They're not doing it. And so to me, that's telling, Mr. Mason.
Yeah.
Because you know that you can beat them the NCAA gets beat like a drum damn near every time they go to court.
Although Aguilar apparently was pushing the limits with what he did.
Well, I think that's changing a rule. This is more clarifying of one. And just like the whole thing I was talking about with Chambliss, I mean, he was asking for a 6th year, which was a medical red shirt that should have been a rubber stamp to begin with. And, that wasn't gonna change.
Yeah.
But I mean, when it comes to, Pavia probably got away with one last year, but I mean, we're talking about year 8 for Joey Aguilar. Year 8.
Yeah, it's just nutty. So, yeah. But yeah, I think that's, if I look back, it would be probably, if at the end of spring, I think we should go back to this topic and wonder if OU maybe was a little overconfident with the guys on campus. But when it's hard to tell because spring is just one part of this development process until the OU kicks the field. But yeah, Jimmy, it does, and I think the freshmen have been better than they think, especially Jacob Curry, Moore. The Bathurst kid apparently looks fantastic. Is just a workout warrior. Mm-hmm. That's a position move for him. I'm not sure that you could expect a lot out of him, but I think his future is sky high. Moore, again, little position move stuff going on a little bit, but it's interesting.
There's a Michigan guy talking about that.
Yeah, that's interesting. Do you, Dave? Do you like the new GM? It seemed like that was the new GM was a big time hire for you guys. Do you like him?
I think that from what he was saying the other day that it's kind of he's not sure about it, and you wonder if it's just a move on. For Whittingham, but at the end of the day, I think that you might as well clear the whole thing out if you're Kyle Whittingham and do things your way, and get a guy that you want in there. And I think that the guy was definitely a big part of why Notre Dame has been successful as it has been. He wasn't the full on GM, but he's been involved in it for sure.
No idea. Yeah, it's interesting. You're seeing a lot of the.
But I think he could be right about that. It may have been why they kind of ushered him out when you can't even hold on to some of these guys, and that was a guy that nobody wanted to lose.
Oh no, that was a knockout, drag out brawl with coaches flying to his home and Brent getting on the private jet. I do one last thing for you, Jason. It's interesting watching a lot of programs. They're promoting a lot of guys that don't have Nagy's resume to GM, like around college football. If you see some of the guys getting promoted to general manager or director of player personnel, there's a lot of guys whose resumes aren't as strong as Nagy, Lake Dawson, Stacy Ford, the guys that OU has in their front office. It's interesting that you see that some folks are looking at OU did and just flat out copying it. Florida for one, right? Florida's like, Rosenberg's come in, clean house, and give us what we got. But you see, a lot of teams. I mean, the two trends I saw was the NFL just was raiding college football for assistants.
Mm-hmm.
And that, much more so than I remember before. I mean, there was a lot of. Just seemed like every time you blinked, a running back coach was leaving college game and getting poached to the NFL. And then the other thing is you just see a lot of college programs are promoting folks who don't have 20, to that sort of director, GM kind of role. They don't have anything close to Nagy's resume. I mean, it's like 2-3 years of experience.
How many people would? How many people would though? Other than guys that are coming directly from the NFL.
Yeah, but I think that's interesting that OU did this, right? Got this guy and that's and he's and the only people really copying OU is Florida, who basically hired the Rosenbergs, and Florida just needed a complete clean house, right?
The Rosenbergs.
Well, not the 50s scientists.
Okay. I was like, man, you're taking a shot here.
not the 50s, communist sympathizers who are probably.
That was funny shit. That's where I thought you were headed with it because of the whole commie conversation the other night. Which, by the way,
not Ethel and what was the guy's name? Anyway, they were probably innocent too, looking back on it. But just obviously, to hire and grab those guys, Florida did that, and it just, Texas is paying their GM some absurd amount of money, and his resume is just.
Yeah, but here's the thing. The one thing I'll say about that is it's not like they're hurting on the guys they're bringing in. They've hit on these guys that they
No. But it just seems like it's interesting that Texas. So that a comment I've made to a lot of my OU friends is that it's interesting that OU is one of the few programs where you clearly have someone with serious football acumen who has a level of oversight over the head coach. Mm-hmm. I mean, Texas doesn't. Their GM doesn't have oversight over Sark at all.
Well, look, I don't think that there's anywhere in the country that really does over their head coaches. I mean, I would agree with you on that. I don't think anybody's got the setup the same way.
And so it's interesting to see if it works for OU, but I do feel a lot more confident about what OU's doing, knowing that Brent has someone
that they're on the same page is the biggest thing, right?
Yeah.
I think that it may not work everywhere because I think that if we know what I think you've said it plenty of times. Kirby Smart's not giving up shit for power. They don't even have a GM. Don't even want one.
No, and Kirby's got the one of the few resumes where he has the gravitas to say, I don't need this guy, right? If you're Brent and you're going
Stanford, I guess, yeah, maybe Stanford.
Is doing something similar. But
Andrew Luck.
Yeah, it's interesting to see that I thought more programs would maybe look at it and go, okay, that's got some legs to it. Maybe we should be looking at that. Instead you're seeing a lot of guys that have just three or four experience, 3-4 years of experience. Started as sort of grad assistants and
that's the thing. I would wonder how long this is going to last with him having such a deep room of assistants, right?
Oh yeah, someone's going to poach. If OU goes 10-2 again,
what's the one guy? He's got to be out of here by next year, I would think.
Dawson or Ford?
Yeah, Dawson.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know if OU goes 10-2 again, and this operation looks like it's working. Yeah, if I was a big time program and I was struggling a little bit,
it's coming. Yeah,
I would go steal Nagy's right hand man, and that appears to be either Red or Dawson, right? That I think that's the way it's set up from that perspective. But it's interesting that OU's got that perspective, and I think, and I mentioned this elsewhere, and just to repeat it, I think the portal class and the high school freshman class. The quality the guys brought in and the athletes they brought in has, for the coaching staff, has just raised their confidence in the Nagy's front office.
Right, and I mean the way they've gone about it. I mean, really, not a whole lot of. You haven't had a whole lot of competition, and they've been sniping. Quietly sniping and getting their guys.
Yeah, and and when you hear that guys like Matthew Nelson, Jacob Curry, Brian Harris. These guys are all just sort of killing it in the weight room, and just that the athletes that they brought in are just, they look that good. The length, the NFL traits guys are as advertised. And then when you look at, and then you look at the efficacy of what they did in the portal, getting the guys they needed.
Don Julio, Benji, holy crap, man! Who are these people? You should kick them out of the family for requesting such shit. Wow. Holy crap.
You just look at, I think, any sort of tension between the front office and the coaching staff, I think basically got squashed with, well, look what they did in the portal and look at the high school guys they've given us. They look at what they're doing from a high school recruiting perspective for 2027. They are setting us up, and our workload is lessened. I mean, I know the coaches feel that the workload for them is lessened from a recruiting and scouting standpoint.
No doubt. No doubt. And I think that matters in this day and time, right? If you're going to be a college coach instead of an NFL guy, and your time is already tapped, man, there's no two ways around it. But this gives you less to have to go through as far as, having to identify everybody. These guys are putting recruitable dudes on your table daily, right? You just got to go lock some of them down.
Yeah, so I think it makes a big difference because, again, like I said, one of those trends in February was all these college guys going to the pros, and a big part of that was lifestyle workload. I mean, it has to be, right? That part of that because the NFL coaching game is less. There's less reliability and stability there, right? From that perspective, I think Valai's gambling a little bit going to the Bills versus being. Sure. I mean, DeMarco's gambling a little bit going to the Chiefs. Now it's not going to the Browns or the. I would say
no, it's not. No, it's not the Browns. It's not. Right. It's not like you're going to freaking.
I almost said the Bears, but the Bears, the Jets, right?
Even the Bears, yeah, no shit.
Or the Bears seem to be getting their act together, other than moving to Indiana, or the Titans, or maybe it's not that, but there's a risk there versus the reasonable stability.
That being said, though, I mean, look, if you've done a good enough job to get that job from college, and you're trying to move your way up, and I think that Jay Valai looks at that as an opportunity to move up the ladder, right?
No, I think both those guys.
DeMarco, right?
I think both those guys, made that was also something I think OU can easily sell, right? Our guys didn't leave to go to Penn State, Ohio State, Georgia, Miami. Sure. They left to go to the pros. We're not losing. When DeMarco's calling,
they'll probably come back as a head coach if they're coming back, right?
Or an offensive coordinator, or someone with a defensive coordinator. They just it's. I don't know if there was a little bit of Brent saying to both those guys, you need to take these jobs. These are career-enhancing jobs. We'll find guys to replace. Telling DeMarco, because I know DeMarco struggled with that job for a couple of weeks. The Chiefs went back to him like 2 or 3 times. You wonder if Brent at some point is like, look, DeMarco, we're going to be fine. Go take this job.
Yeah. Yeah, like Dave's saying, it takes a special kind of stupid to stay a college football coach for the long term.
Well,
I think it depends on what kind of coach you are, but I would agree that it's definitely more volatile. Although, is it? I don't think that. Listen, at the top 2 levels of football, which we're talking about, college and the NFL. I mean, NFL stands for not for long.
Yeah, I mean it's
you can lose your job any second at any one of these places, especially when you're coaching at places like Oklahoma or like somewhere like Kansas City or somewhere that they've been successful, right? Look at how long it didn't take the Patriots long to move on from. I mean, what, 2 years, or did he even make it 2 years?
Mayo.
Yeah, Gerard Mayo.
It was a year. It was a year, wasn't it?
It was maybe 1 year and done, right? Yeah, it was 1 year. Yeah.
I mean, look at Pete Carroll. I mean, they gave him the Ziggy, like that, and
that's what a shit show that is over there, though.
Well, yeah, I mean, it's like, I mean, exactly. But in the college game, if you're, I think there's a good chance Chavis and Bates is still coaching at OU 5 years from now.
Yeah, I think it kind of depends. It depends on what they want. I think that I think Chavis may have the ambition to be a head coach, and so maybe he moves along, be a coordinator.
Yeah, but he also could just get on a
I think that Bates could be the same thing, but I think he probably moves on for more of a head coaching job, if anything.
Yeah, but they also could be just
winning natty. Things change.
Yeah, that's true. But also, they also could be. They also could be. I love who my boss is. They're both making.
There's something to be said for that.
OU's paying assistants. Right? I mean, they're not. This isn't the Joe C days where you just worried a little bit that we were getting outbid for folks. I mean,
yeah, that's true.
And you got a pipeline of kids coming in that you love coaching, and you love coaching with Brent and putting together top 5 defenses in college, and there's that development of young people.
But we know that it's a volatile place here too. This is you got to sustain it. This whole show was about sustaining it.
Yeah,
sustaining success. This is a tough place to do it in this league. So, I think, like you were just saying about Valai and about DeMarco, for sure, I think you would probably do the same thing for his guys that he loves, including Todd Bates and Chavis and those guys. Are like, look, it's probably time for you to move along here while the iron's hot. Strike, go.
Right, take your
shot.
Like Matt Campbell at Iowa State got lucky that Penn State dropped their coaching search.
Well, they screwed that up. Him changing agents is why he didn't get looked at earlier, I think. But that still may have helped. That still may have helped Penn State, because I don't know exactly how that all went down, but I don't know that he would have been looking for that job early on. But when they started talking about being broke at Iowa State, his mind changed real fast.
Yeah, but you know what I mean, though. I mean, like, Campbell could have had maybe the Michigan job at one point and some other jobs.
I think he could have had the Michigan job if he wanted it this year. I don't know why he didn't end up taking it.
So I think I definitely, you're right. There's a window, right? And strike when that window's hot, and that. But I think it's, again, you're right. The SEC is not going to get any easier. If Florida can, sorry if there's any Gator fans in here. If Florida can find its ass in the dark with a flashlight, that's a program.
Listen, I think they got the right coach to do it.
And if they've got the right coach and they leave him alone and things click a little bit, that raises it. We don't even know what Kiffin and LSU is going to be.
It could be a bitch. It could be really bad for the rest of the SEC, or it could be more of what we've seen, Lane Whiffen.
So you've got that. Do you expect are some other programs going to take a dive? What does Vandy, Mizzou, and Ole Miss do? So it's interesting to think about. Some of because Mizzou, their win total last year is kind of a mirage a little bit.
Oh yeah, that was a 8-4 with a bad schedule.
Exactly, and
bad schedule,
and they just lost basically every stud they had on defense.
But they did bring back Ahmad Hardy. I think they probably upgraded at quarterback.
Yeah, probably. We'll see how that shakes.
But they also lost their offensive coordinator. So let's see if, obviously I think Drink was an offensive guy coming into it. He could take over if he needed to. But I think overall, yeah, I don't know. I'm not buying Mizzou. I don't buy Mizzou. But I think that what's going to happen with Tennessee, I think that they're in a situation where, look, as stupid as it sounds, Josh could be in trouble if they don't win 9 games or 10 this year.
Well, that Vandy,
but that's a fact.
That Vandy end of the season game did him like no favors. I mean, that was if that Knowles hire doesn't click, he could be in. You're right. He could be in a little trouble.
They were so putrid on defense, though. They had the number 1 offense in the SEC. They were putrid on defense. A year after being the best defense in the damn league.
They're
It's a shit show in Knoxville. Come on.
It's just bipolar.
Poor Josh,
right?
man, poor bastard.
It's bipolar. Yeah. You don't know what the and they've got and with the new balanced schedules for everybody in the SEC, it's going to be carnage. I mean,
it is. It is. I think, and, when you kind of feel bad for Leb and those guys and I think Levy's got an amazing quarterback. I think he's got some pieces that should do well. Offensively, they're going to be fine. But bringing in Zach Garnett, is that going to help them? Because they have to be better on defense, and they've got probably a tougher schedule than anybody in the SEC. If you look at some of the teams that you look at, they're probably a bottom team. They've got tough-ass schedules. Kentucky, same thing.
Well, I mean, with the 9 games, it's
bro, it's getting worse for everybody with 9 games.
I mean, and you don't, and the thing this fall where I hope OU is and Nagy and Brent are really sitting down this offseason trying to schedule out how this season works is the no buys, right? OU gets a bye week before Texas, and
that's brutal right there. We're talking about then you go the last 8 games without a week off. Oof.
You've got to do some things practice wise, roster wise, depth wise.
If it was this season, you may not be wrong there, Dave. If it was this season, you may not be wrong because again, I think that what we're talking about, I think they're set up to win, and so that also makes it tough on Brent if you don't win.
Yeah, and he made some strides game management wise, winning close road games wise. I mean, I have a couple of fans.
The only thing about that is if you win a bunch of close 1-score games, I mean, it's been proven that you'll lose those same ones in the next year.
Oh yeah, I mean, it's like yeah. So we
analytics. It's there.
Yeah, you've got to be better on offense and get some two possession games in there, right? You've got to get some 2 possession games into that mix. It can't all be 8 straight 1 possession games because, like you said, that's a high wire act, and you're going to fall.
There's no way you can live up to that all the time.
I mean, you just
winning all road games and shit. I mean, it's not sustainable. You got to be better.
You got to get some margins, get some fourth quarter games where you're up by 2 scores and riding it out, right? Not just always getting a 4th down stop with the last minute to hold on to what you're doing. But yeah, I think it's crazy. I mean, I think you've got to do some things strategically about keeping your team healthy, keeping your roster fresh, using your full roster with this bizarre schedule. I mean, the SEC should and OU should move a game up to get week 0. Move something to week 0. I don't know why the SEC coaches allowed this to happen and they didn't push to get some week 0 traffic in.
Well, I think we should talk more about that. We talked about that on the other show that I do, the SEC Gauntlet show that I do, but I think it was a mistake. I think it was a mistake for them to not make sure that they were going to a 16-game playoff
before doing the 9-game thing.
Yeah, and I realized that they added the analytic, the strength of record, and then the strength of schedule is worth more than it was in the past. I still think what we've been seeing though, it's still about wins and losses more than it is about strength of schedule. I think so. I think this year is a big deal in the SEC because if you go from 5 to 3 and not 5 to 4, I understand with 9 games. If you go from 5 to 3. I don't know. I think it's tough. And on top of that, I think if you're not only are you doing that, look, right now there's other things they needed to fix before they worried about the number of conference games. I think that the damn schedule moving past it. Listen, playing till the 25th of January is damn insane.
Yeah, I mean,
and now if you're adding a 9th game, now why would you want to be in the conference championship game and have the possibility of a bye when bye teams are 1-7 in the playoff? And now you're adding a game. So not only do you play a 9th conference game, now you're going to play a 10th one to play the conference championship game. Fuck.
Yeah, I mean, it's crazy. So
not conducive for winning.
Cherokee, I think this is an under. We'll see how this plays out, but I think it's an under the Schmitty isn't getting a lot of play, right? It just it's his protege, blah blah blah. They're changing a bunch of strength and strength and conditioning stuff, according to my sources, right?
They do.
They're doing stuff different.
Everything we've heard is that it was all.
They're doing stuff different, and they're changing stuff up, the health stuff and longevity.
I think the concern has been the medical team as well, though, as part of it as well, because of what we heard from Teddy and Gabe a year ago after the Nick Anderson deal.
And I got no insight on that. My sources don't know anything about that, but they do indicate that strength and conditioning is kind of going an overhaul, that Dobson's doing things in a different way, new equipment, new recovery, new things to make sure that the team
limits and shit like that to how much they're working and stuff.
Yeah, that they're doing stuff to that the injury rate can't continue. Not if OU wants to be successful in a 15-game season.
At least, I mean, again, if you're playing for a conference title, which I think that matters if you're Oklahoma or anybody that cares about winning at all. I mean, you want to have a chance to win your conference championship, but in the end, it may not be the best thing for anybody moving forward, to be quite honest with you. Well, it may be better to not get in it.
It helped Ole Miss.
Yeah.
I mean, it helped A&M not get exposed 2 weeks earlier.
I think, and Dave, I'm not saying that's not what we're talking about. I just think that there was other things that were more important. I think that they need to fix the postseason schedule all the way around. I mean, you could, whether you start a week early, whether you play some other games during Army-Navy week, which is stupid that they don't. You could give them their own time slot. They don't need their own damn week.
No,
that's
they don't.
Dumb.
They don't. You should be playing December 15th.
Absolutely. Start that shit, because there's no think about it.
And you could use Friday. You could use Friday night.
A month before they played a damn playoff game, and even the teams that didn't get a bye waited 3 weeks. That's stupid shit, man.
Yeah, and you don't, and you could use Friday night for 2 games, right? You can use Friday night. You can use Saturday. We all respect the armed forces.
They almost didn't play any Saturday playoff games. So what do we? I mean,
yeah. So I mean, you don't have to cede Saturdays to the freaking NFL after December 1st. There's no federal law that says you have to do that crap. But yeah, I mean, you're right. Before going 9 SEC games, they needed to fix the championship game. I think the easiest way to do it is just make the championship a play-in game.
Mm-hmm.
Look, you're in. You two need to get in. Here's the championship game to give your resumes a boost.
No, I agree, and I think you could.
And then you've got
championship games. If you're going to go to 16 or God forbid 24, but if that's what you're going to do, then you should have.
Yeah.
You should have play-in games for 2 and 3 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 5 in the big conferences for sure. I think that you should change to that and have your conference champion be named through the regular season. Trojan Fight asked, what do I think of the NCAA punishments for schools taking in transfers outside of the portal? Yeah, I think it's obviously a clear. I mean, we've been talking about it for the last couple of weeks. Damn good and well, following the spring, somebody's going to pull that shit. I think it's all well and good that they're doing that, but all these conferences seem to agree with these things in the aggregate before it becomes something that affects them. And then they have a different feeling about it whenever they have an opportunity to get a player.
Yeah, like in the aggregate, everyone agrees, and then
sure individual
programs are like,
that's right.
I mean, this is the same thing with if you ignore the Chambliss thing on a certain level, Ole Miss should you're part of the NCAA. You should basically be saying, look, this is the NCAA rule. Chambliss, go pro. We don't want we're adhering to the rules, right? And if the NCAA rule's wrong, we can just put that aside. But Ole Miss should be saying, well, the NCAA said you're ineligible. Go pro.
Listen, at the end of the day, look, when you start, what's going to have to happen is the NCAA and the conferences and the schools and the coaches are going to have to give up a little bit of power as far, or at least give up, that you give them a seat at the players have got to have a seat at the table on when you start making rules.
Yeah.
You have to have that. If you don't, you're going to continue to have these problems. Because again, make no mistake that some of these portal guys, they're being told to go into the portal. And not some, a large amount of them are told to go into the portal by the programs.
It'll be interesting post-spring because technically they can't go in something where a college administrator won't put them in, right? But they'll say, I'm leaving this program and I'm going to go to court and fight the fact that the portal's closed, right?
Right.
That's what you're saying, is that because it's like.
No, but what I'm saying is a lot of this portal stuff that we're talking about. Forget about the spring stuff. I mean, the spring stuff is going to be. That's going to be. A kid realizes that I just lost that quarterback battle in Tennessee, and I don't want to wait. I want out of here.
Yeah, but I want to be eligible in the fall.
Damn right.
As I understand it, there's nothing stopping a kid from seeing he's losing a battle in spring and saying, I want to transfer, and then being told, like, look, you need to use your redshirt year. You're burning. You're not playing this fall. I mean, that still exists for kids, as I understand it. That if you want to, after spring, if you'd like, look, I don't like this place. This isn't the place I thought it was. If you were an early enrolling freshman, right, that you've already gone through, you're 3 months in, and you want to go somewhere else, you can still do that. You just have to sit out the fall.
You're gonna look. I think the things are gonna have to, at some point, you're gonna have to get some level of control on some of this. I don't think that you're really gonna do that until the players start having some say in it. They have, that they are helping make these rules. They're collectively bargaining for these rules.
Exactly, and that's what we've all.
Whether it's full on CBA or whatever you want to call it, I don't care how you go there, but you can't just dictate the whole thing if you're the NCAA anymore. That's clear. They're not going to let you do that.
It needs to be a player agreed, player feedback, players sign off. The player signs a whatever you want to call, whatever contract or whatever you want to call it. I understand these are the negotiated rights we got as a group, right? And I'm agreeing to adhere to these rules, right? And that's
like what Dave's saying. Why do the players get limited? They shouldn't, unless there's limits on the other side too.
It's negotiation.
Have to play by the same rules, right?
It's negotiation. You give up stuff, you get stuff, right?
You know where I'm at on that. I've been that guy. I've been that guy saying, don't do that to the players if you're not going to do it to the schools. But in the end, I think that you can improve college sport. You can make it. Look, I'm not ever gonna be the doom and gloom guy that says that college sports is dying, because guess what? It ain't. They're making more money every year. I don't want to hear that shit. So I don't about any of it. At the end of the day, when they decide to start allowing the players to have some say in what the rules are, then we'll have meaningful change. Until then, you won't.
No, you're exactly right. You've got to basically have some give and take. What do the players need? You need to you trade things like healthcare, education beyond when you leave, right? The ability to go back and take classes for free tuition after your eligibility's up, right? Healthcare, full healthcare benefits. There's a suite of stuff that the players should be asking for, right? For as a group of players.
Yeah.
And they should be asking for. And what do you give up in that? There's some things the colleges need for their product to be what they need. So there's an easy way to do this. It's not that hard, and it takes colleges finally recognizing that we need to include the players in rule setting. That's all it is.
Yeah, and it's not. I mean, this is it. Really, if we're being honest, that's what the problem is. It's the dragging of the feet
to get here.
The NCAA and the conferences. That's exactly what it is. So
they don't want to recognize it all.
We can do this all damn day. We're not going to. We've been going for almost 2 hours. So anything else you wanted to add to this, or I'm ready to get out of here? About you?
Yeah. I'm ready. I'm just very exciting. I think recruiting's blowing up, guys. If you're not on the recruiting intel on Mondays or listening to my pod that I post on Wednesdays, you need it. Recruiting is blowing up. The Nagy Brent team is hitting it. OU could possibly get five-star kids and have
number one class, the possibility to the number one class.
If they hit the right kids and they keep ranking OU's guys where they need to be ranked, top 3 discussion for number 1 is not impossible. And I don't think I've ever said that.
Pretty wild, right?
I haven't said that since like 04, 05.
We didn't expect it right away. We expected it was going to take, you know, I remember you saying, look, we're going to have some patience as OU fans about the stars.
And Keldred Ben's the clear example that Nagy knows what he's doing, and now Rivals, for one, is like, oh, yeah, he's right about that. We completely blew that.
Yeah.
I mean, you go from unranked to the number 86 player in the nation. So, but thanks, guys. Thanks, everybody.
Appreciate everybody coming in. Make sure you are subscribed to all 3 channels. Okay, Kchris hit 900. We didn't even talk about it. He hit 900 subs today. That's a big move forward for him. We got to do the same for Mr. Mason's show. Get him monetized as well. We got to get Kchris monetized. He's got 100 to go. So make sure you guys are subscribed to all 3 channels. You get amazing information. Sooners 360, you can go over and get on their Patreon. It's like $2 a month, nothing, you know, and you'll get some information that you won't get otherwise. He's killing it over there. You guys got to make sure that you're checking us all out, but make sure that you get all this, hit that bell button so that you get all notifications. If you're not getting notifications for our shows, unsubscribe and resubscribe, because a lot of times that could be the problem as well. But I think we're definitely doing better as far as that goes. Appreciate everybody helping us out along the way. Thank you all for coming in. We'll see you all on the next one.